Hi, welcome to Dialed In. I'm Don Knabe, Los Angeles County Supervisor for the 4th District. I'm pleased to welcome you back to another episode of Dialed In. For this segment, we're going to talk about what I think is one of the most important programs we have in Los Angeles County, the Safe Surrender Program. We launched this program here in 2001. It was already on the books at the state level, but no one knew anything about it. So I asked my staff to look into how we could get it implemented here in Los Angeles County. A small committee was established to work across several departments. We got the program up and running in 30 days. Now, I know the government isn't known for its speed, but in that short time, we were able to get all the processes and systems in place. Safe Surrender allows a parent or legal guardian to confidentially hand over an infant, 3 days old or younger, to any hospital emergency room or fire station. No shame, no blame, no names. In the 12 years since we've launched this program, 110 lives have been saved. But we know there is more work to do, so last month we launched a brand new campaign to broaden our outreach. We've added more languages and have built in a mix of traditional and grassroots awareness efforts. I'm pleased to have some very special guests today who will tell us more about Safe Surrender and the new campaign. I hope you will enjoy the show. Welcome back to Dialed In. Our first guest today is the spiritual godmother of the Safe Surrender Program, Debi Faris. Debi was watching the evening news one night in 1996 and was horrified when she heard that a newborn baby boy had been stuffed into a duffel bag tossed from a speeding car along the freeway. Debi urged former California State Senator Jim Brulte to write legislation that would decriminalize safe newborn abandonment and eventually became California law. She also founded the Garden of Angels, a very special and unique cemetery, to ensure that innocent babies who are left to die are buried with dignity. Debi, thanks for joining me today. You're such a special lady. You know that you're one of my heroes. But tell me about that night in 1996 and sort of what was going through your mind. And you probably had no idea at the moment what was going to ultimately happen and what a special person you were and an angel of God. But what was going through your mind that night as you were watching the news?
Well, I was in my kitchen making dinner for my 3 children, and I had the television news on. And in the background, I heard the story about a newborn baby boy being found dead in a duffel bag. And they had found it alongside the freeway here in the Los Angeles area. And I just immediately turned around and looked at the TV, and I could see a woman from the coroner's office carrying this bag that said lifesaver on the outside of it. And all of, my mind and everything in me was just imagining this little innocent child who never asked to be born, that was just born and put into that duffel bag and thrown away.
So how did you get started?
Well, I was pretty nervous. I was just a mom from Yucaipa, a homemaker, and I just knew I had to follow my heart and who was going to care for this child, who would bury this child. And I remembered the police that were involved, and they had mentioned the coroner's office, and so I started with the police department. And I said, what's going to happen to this child? Well, right off the bat, they were curious as to who I was, because they thought, well, maybe she's the mother or the grandmother.
Never thought about that.
Or related, or knows who is related to this child in some way. So they told me that they would do an investigation on our family, which they did, and I was really grateful for that because I knew that they would be following up any leads. And, after we were cleared, we made contact with the coroner's office and just asked if we could adopt this baby as our own and bury him and give him an act of love and give him, most importantly, a name and not a number.
And so out of that, the Garden of Angels?
So with that little boy, Matthew, started the Garden of Angels. And by the time we were able to bury Matthew, there was another newborn baby boy that was found in the dumpster in Los Angeles. And then they had had a body of a little girl that they think was about the age of 18 months to 2 years old that was found washed up on a beach. And they were getting ready to cremate her body, and they asked us if we would take care of her too. So on August 26, 1996, we had our first burial in the Garden of Angels for Matthew, the little boy found in the duffel bag, and Nathan, the little boy found in the trash dumpster, and for Dora, the little girl that was found washed up on the beach.
You were able to isolate the property. Did you get the property donated, or how did that? You know, I've been out there. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but what a special place.
We were not able to get the property donated, and that was okay. We knew as a family that we wanted to make a commitment to any child that was left abandoned or left unclaimed, and have a special place for them to rest. And so we purchased the property.
Well, it's a very special place. Last year you gave me an incredible honor. I got to name a deceased baby, Hope Angel, and you gave me that honor. It was very, very special. Why is baby abandonment such a huge issue in this country?
Well, we're still always trying to figure that out. For me, I've gone to trials of mothers that have been arrested for the abandonment and or murder of their child, and I just keep trying to figure it out.
I mean, there's no socioeconomic barriers.
There is none.
It's not young mothers, or I mean, it runs the gamut. I mean, I think that is what amazes me. Now, because of your efforts and the brutality legislation, the same sort of inspiration I had in 2001 when baby Andrew was found in a dumpster, and it happened to be the son of our county council that found the baby at the time. And anyway, so we found this law that you helped pass. No one knew anything about it. But again, there's no rhyme or reason. And here we have 110 lives that we saved in Los Angeles County because of what you started. But again, just a few weeks ago, we had another death, you know, in South El Monte. So we still have work, and that's part of the outreach program that we're doing on your behalf. But, you know, I just, as I tell everyone about you, I mean, I know you don't like to hear about yourself, but it's always incredible to me when you really focus on something, how much one person can really accomplish and what you've accomplished from your commitment to that dreaded story, a news story, making dinner. Life goes on. You could have stopped right there and just cried or said, boy, that's horrible. But instead, you decided to go forward with a very special program. Now, I mean, not only what we're doing here, but other counties have taken it. A couple states have taken it on. So you must be proud that you're able to raise a level of attention. As you know, and as I know, we still have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. And we knew that if we just saved the life of one child, then it would be all worth it. But it has saved the lives of thousands now all across the nation, because every state in the nation has a safe surrender or safe haven law. And I mean, really, for me, it's very simple. Look at Adriana, and can you imagine a world without her? I can't.
No, I can't either. And I think that's what's been so incredible about this process. You've been with me at the 10th anniversary, the 100th save, and when you see the joy that these children have brought to these families and the joy that those children have brought to their siblings, it's just an amazing thing. I mean, you know, it's just, wow, you're a part of that, but you are the spiritual godmother of that entire program, and I know it means a lot to you, and you mean a lot to us. And so I know you're very, very busy spreading the word and helping other areas of the country doing what they need to do to save these lives. So we truly appreciate you taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule to join us here today, and we thank you. I know there's 110 kids out there that thank you from Los Angeles County, so God bless.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. You are an amazing man. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Welcome back to Dialed In. Our next guest today is the president of RCN Consulting, Don Michelle Wilson. Last year, First Five allocated $500,000 to update and expand our Safe Surrender outreach campaign. Don Michelle and her team, along with Edelman, were the branding agencies that developed the new campaign. Don Michelle, thanks for joining us today. Don Michelle, when you first started this project, I was curious, had you heard of Say Surrender?
I had, yes.
And obviously, when you looked at our program, you could tell that it hadn't been updated for a while. I mean, we were trying to save babies and probably not doing the best job we possibly could in getting the message out. Just from a quick look, when you first looked at it, what did you think was the biggest missing piece?
Well, when First 5LA asked our group to help support this campaign and work on it, the very first thing we do, right, is go to the website, look at your materials, and you're right, we were like, this has not been updated in a while. But the big thing that struck us is the website had been a little old in its technology. This campaign started over 10 years ago, and we needed to really update that. We also saw that there wasn't enough materials in other languages, and a real opportunity to maybe engage community to help really spread the word with this campaign.
And while I agreed with that, I mean, I think too, like on the webpage, we also knew that probably the other piece that you discovered about outreach and language and those kinds, probably as much as important as a webpage, because these desperate moms are not sitting around looking at a computer, correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things that struck me is that there's not a true profile for the type of person who may abandon or surrender a baby, which means that we have to kind of reach all women in LA County and potentially fathers too. So it's a very diverse group, and we needed to develop materials in multiple languages. Yeah,
because I mean, the reality is there's no specific. It's not young, it's not old, it's all in between. So tell me a little bit about the focus groups. I found that somewhat fascinating.
Yeah, anytime we do a campaign like this, we wish we had one target demographic. It makes it a lot easier. But with a campaign like this, the research became even more important because we needed to make sure that this resonated with a young woman to an older woman that's all childbearing age, and then different languages, different backgrounds. So we did several different focus groups with different types of mix of women, some with children, some without, single, married, to really find out how the campaign resonated with them.
And what about the desperation? I mean, as it relates to, I mean, could they put themselves in the place of a mom that might be in this desperate situation that has this incredible, courageous decision to make? Do I just throw this life away, or do I allow it to enjoy life with another family?
They did. It was really fascinating. I mean, they had a lot of compassion for a woman who might find herself in a situation that might need to give up her child. And they thought that this campaign was really necessary. They were glad to hear that the county was doing this and pushing it out and promoting it. So they thought that it was really important to make sure people understand there is no shame, there's no blame, that it's anonymous. I mean, one person wanted the campaign just to be called anonymous. They thought it was really important.
So was there one particular element that stuck out with some of the moms or the women? I assume, was the focus groups all women, or did you have a mixture?
We did primarily women. We had one fathers group that we did test with, but primarily it was all women. Because,
in the 110 lives that we saved, we've had one, actually two fathers turn in the abandoned baby. So, I mean, that can happen. So, I mean, that's a critical piece as well. The multiple languages,
yes.
What did you find out about there?
They were glad to see that we were going to be doing the materials in other languages. They thought that was necessary. They all identify that LA is very diverse. We ended up going with major languages like English, Spanish, as well as some Asian ones, Mandarin and Korean. It was also important that the website be at least in Spanish language, so we've done that as we move through with the campaign.
And one of the things that I've always said about these desperate mothers, they don't hang out 9 to 5 watching TV or listening to radio. So we've done a lot of midnight kinds of broadcasts. The other thing I found fascinating in your research and your recommendations that we're implementing, tell us about some of the locations that you thought we need to be in.
We wanted to reach people where they work, live, and play. And that means transit while they're going to work. So we have posters on bus shelters. CBS Outdoors donated billboards that are going to be rotating around the county for several months. We have signage on metro buses and trains. And then some places you might not expect to see it. Laundromats. We have over 160 different locations at shopping strips and laundromats and things like that. And malls. We have signage at malls, and we're working on radio that's going to be up in the next few weeks. So lots of
the public service announcements are extremely important. It's just amazing because it's hit and miss. Because, like you say, this is not a 35 to 38-year-old person that shops from 9 to 5, and there's nothing specific about. And so it had to make your job somewhat difficult, but we're really happy with the program that you come up with. But I'm just saying, you had to spread it out. I mean, when you talk about the largest county in America, the demographics of this county.
And not a lot of money. I mean, this really is a public service announcement. So it's not like we can just go throw millions of dollars like a business can at creating awareness.
Yeah, because we're always out begging for money. The Say Surrender program, and trying to get advertisers and people to say, hey, in the middle of the night, on talk radio or somewhere to at least get the advertisements out there, because it's extremely important.
Yeah, one of the things that we also looked at doing was reaching out through grassroots efforts, because we know we can't just do it all through media. And so that's an opportunity that we saw with this campaign too.
Well, maybe you could speak a little bit more about that, because I was fascinated too about the fact that you came up with community-based groups, religious groups. There was a group in the Latino community that you reached out to as well too, right?
Yeah, promotoras, which are health promoters and educators in the Hispanic community. And we actually did a focus group with promotoras as well. We really wanted to know they're trusted resources, and people go to them with lots of different needs besides health. And we wanted to make sure that this campaign resonated to them, and they saw it as something that they would be glad to go out and champion. But that whole model of making sure we're educating and engaging other community-based organizations, church leaders, faith-based organizations, how do we engage them, make sure they have knowledge of this campaign so that it lives beyond the life of what we can put up in, an ad buy or something like that.
In this brief period of time, it's obvious that you had a very expansive job, but you're trying to touch all the bases. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, that's what the outreach is. We're trying to find that desperation wherever it may be, and encourage those mothers to make that courageous decision. Any social media kinds of things that you did?
Well, we touched on the website, and I think it's important to say that in updating that, we consume technology completely different than we used to, right? I laugh, I'm on the TV, on my computer, on my phone, and I'm doing 5 things at once. When you're talking about someone who's really in a dire circumstance, you don't want them to have to search for a solution. So we made sure that the website's really responsive to that. You can view it on a phone or an iPad or a template, any of the technology out there.
It has to be as easy as possible, I would
imagine. And we also made sure that if you really are going to the site, the information's really easy to digest and understand, and that locations, if you're deciding this might be something you want to do, you don't have to search for a hospital or a fire station. It's right there, easily mapped for you.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be here. This is Don Michelle Wilson, president of RCN Consulting, who put together our outreach program for Safe Surrender. And big job, tough job, and we appreciate you being here and appreciate the work.
My pleasure. Thank you.
When a child is born, it should be the happiest time in one's life. But for some, it's just too difficult to handle. Think before you do the unthinkable. There is an option. Don't abandon your baby.
Welcome back to Dialed In. It's been said that adopting one child won't change the world, but for that child, the world will change. My next guests are Jill and Darren, who adopted Adriana, a baby girl who was safely surrendered by her birth mother at a hospital in Montebello when she was only 2 days old. Now 4 years old, a joyous smile, Adriana is part of a very, very loving family. And Jill and Darren, thank you so much for joining us today. Jill and Darren, tell me how this all came together. Were you looking to adopt, or?
We had a almost 2-year-old daughter, Olivia, and wanted her to have a sibling. So we contacted our agency and said, please, please, please find us another child, whether it be female or male. We didn't care, we just wanted another child.
Had you heard of the Safe Surrender program at all?
We had not heard it.
So you weren't specifically looking to adopt a Safe Surrender baby, you were looking for another sibling?
Correct.
So when did you first meet Adriana?
She was 2 days old, and her mom had checked herself out of the hospital and had left her behind because she was homeless and living on the street. And they called us and said, we have this baby that needs a home. She's going home in 4 hours. Do you want to take this little girl home?
So you've already been pre-approved, and the whole process had gone through, so you were ready, available, and willing.
Correct.
And you got that little blessing. That must have been quite a day.
It was quite a day. I walked into my boss's office and said, I'm in labor, I'm going home, and I'm getting a new baby girl. And that's how she's been
And
in
what
our
was your
life.
boss's reaction? That'd be a great line.
He said, go. You look fabulous for being in labor. Go get her. And so that's what we did.
If you had the opportunity right now, thinking back, and if you were able to talk to Adriana's mother, what would you say to her?
Thank you for making the hardest decision, but the most heartfelt decision, knowing that you couldn't provide her the home that you really felt she wanted and needed, and that you wanted for her. And so you gave her to a family who could provide that home. And I hope we're doing that for her.
I'm sure you are. The joy in her life and the joy in your life, you can see that. I think it's one of the things that is overlooked in this whole process of the safe surrender. We talk about, any parent, legal guardian can turn the baby in, fire station, medical facility, any place. No name, no shame, no blame. But the courage of the mother to make that decision.
Absolutely.
Because that's the step one. Your joy is joyful because you get the phone call and able to do it. But you weren't able to do it until that mother had the courage to do the right thing. Instead of destroying a child's life, giving that child another chance in an incredible life with incredible parents like you are. And the other thing I've always wanted to ask all of you in this process, because it's so hard for me to understand that someone could be so desperate that they have no family member or no friend or someone to talk to prior to making the right decision or, unfortunately, from time to time, making the wrong decision. What would your message be as loving parents of Adriana and a recipient of all this to this mother or to a potential mother, somebody watching this program, saying that are so desperate? What would your message be to those that get pregnant in secret, want to hide the secret, and then they want to throw away the secret?
It would be, please, please take that courageous step to the nearest hospital, to a police station, to a fire station, and do the right thing and give that baby an opportunity to grow up and have a blessing, be a blessing to her parents, but also to a blessing to her society. She could be, or he could be, the President of the United States. We don't know, but yet it's just the courageous first step of saying, here. And there's no questions, there's no names, there's nothing. You can literally do it in secret.
Absolutely. As we were talked about earlier, the wanting to throw away the secret, there's also that opportunity with no name. The process is mom gets a band, baby gets a band.
Right.
No names. The mother has 14 days
Right.
To reclaim the baby, and by law, and that's all settled. So to sort of follow through, but on the positive note with that secret
Right.
is to keep it alive and well and give that
Absolutely.
child an opportunity at life, but also joy and growth. And as you said, could be the next president of the United States, could be the next doctor that comes up
Right.
with the cure for cancer,
Absolutely.
Alzheimer's, all these things that are going on in our world. Maybe even help with the dysfunctional government from time to time. But at least we give the child that opportunity. And so our hats are off to those 110 courageous mothers
That's right.
and moms that made that decision. So what do you think, Dad?
Yeah, it's a good program. That's all I know. You just gotta, there's ways to, there's people out there that's willing to help you. You just gotta take this first step to, that's all.
And the first step is you all were prepared for it. The first step is the mom making the decision, and then to have wonderful people, angels of God like both of you, there to accept those babies. And I understand you brought along the star of today's show.
We did.
Lovely Adriana. She's going to join us. How about that?
Yay.
She's going to come up and be with Daddy and sit in Daddy's lap. Look at this. Look at that beautiful dress, the ribbons in her hair around her waist. And Adriana, are you happy to be here today? Yeah. So how does, there's probably, obviously with her happiness and her joy that not been much of an adjustment with siblings and things like that, correct? I mean,
Correct. She's just a toy.
yeah, what grade are you in?
I'm in preschool.
Oh, you're in preschool. What's your favorite subject?
You know, my favorite school is Olivia's. I like her school.
Oh, you like Olivia's school. Well,
goes
is
to
Olivia in
Minigant.
real school?
Olivia's in Minigant, right down the hill.
Oh, okay. So Olivia's in a real school. Someday you're going to go to a real school, huh?
Next year.
Next year? You're going to be in kindergarten? Wow.
She wants to be in Mrs. Love's class.
In Mrs. Love's class.
I saw Santa Claus there. Olivia used to be in that class, and then Santa Claus came in her class.
Santa Claus came into her class. Wow, now I know why you want to go to school there. Me too. I want to meet Santa Claus.
I like him.
You like him, huh? Yeah, that's special. So, the joy. I mean, you can see. I mean, as you reached out to any mom that might be desperate out there, I mean, the fact is, here you see it. I mean, this is beyond belief. Mom and dad are angels of God. You got a little angel there. You got a sibling that's a wonderful sister that's going to, maybe you get to go to her class someday and see Santa Claus. And I just say to everyone out there that those in desperation, there are wonderful families like Jill and Darren to accept children like Adriana and give them a real chance in life, huh?
Tanner goes to my school.
Oh, yeah?
We have a brother named Tanner.
Tanner. Oh,
goes to the
Tanner
same
goes to
school.
your school. I forgot about
He used
Tanner.
to be little and go to the other.
Yeah, he used to be little, now he's bigger. Yeah. Well, listen, we appreciate both of you coming down and Adriana, bringing Adriana with you, and we just thank you for being one of those special parents, and our best to you and the family, and the joy that you're bringing to her life and her siblings, and we just wish you both the very, very best, and thank you again for coming. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again for tuning in to Dialed In. Safe Surrender is a program that is so important to me. Through the 10-year anniversary we had a few years ago and the 100th Safe Surrender celebration last year, I've been able to meet some of those children whose lives have been saved. I've been blessed to celebrate birthdays, meet parents. Since the program began in 2001, 110 families have been blessed with a safely surrendered baby. We are thankful to the mothers who had the courage to make that right decision for their child and for themselves. I appreciate the many families like Jill and Darren's who you met today who have been willing to share their story. And to the media, I know I don't always thank you, but we have found that a story on safe surrender very often leads to another child's life being saved. You can learn more about Safe Surrender at babysafela.org or by calling our 24-hour hotline at 877-222-9723. Any fire station, any hospital, anytime. Thank you again for tuning in to Dialed In. We'll be back next month with an all-new show.